Nothing personal, but is that the best y'all can do for a Monday night? And for you guys at the on Zoom in the internet and stuff, this was a sold out theater. So it's too bad you guys didn't make it, but thank you so much for showing up. We so appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is great. You guys are a wonderful crowd and we ain't even started yet. This is great. This is great. Okay, this is what we're gonna do and I'm gonna come in front of this. Thank you guys so much. It's Monday Night March. Everybody at the Marsh loves Monday Night March. So, but we just like to let everybody know, I'm gonna say the performance tonight. We have Mel Harbach, and there's a toddler in the tavern. Kathy Bowman's 4 Legs and a Funeral. Then we have Sandra Fish, you, Kenny, and Mary D. Plutus. What? Maria D. Plutus. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. But before we do this, let's get to all the little things we got to talk about at the Marsh. First of all, we have emergency exits, which is one right here and one right there during emergencies. Now, if you guys get lost or confused, follow me because I'm getting up out of here, okay? Just remember that I know where all the secret places are at. So there we go. Please silence your phones. Please silence your phones. And I like to say, if this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much. You see, I look at all the audience. I don't want to ignore you guys over there. I don't want to ignore you guys over there either. So we just want to keep it going. Thank you so much for supporting live theater. After the COVID incident, we are still struggling, trying to survive, trying to get booties in the seats, you guys, you know? Just want to let you know, there are some theaters that didn't make it. So we want to make sure that the Marsh makes it. Now, I'm going to say this. They say talking about money is tacky, but I'm tacky. And what I'm tacky about, I know you guys bought tickets, and even you guys up there, you guys have a tip jar at Zoom. If you can find it within your heart and also in your purse and pockets, you might want to put a little bit of donation in the little glass jar that's on the counter over there. Now, I'm from the Black church, and I just want to let you know, the pastor likes quiet money. He don't like jingling and change going on the offering plate, you know what I mean? Then we have to have 2 more prayers because we heard on the offering plates some change. So quiet money, and just to let you know, a 1 is just as quiet as a 50. I just want to let you guys know that. Are you guys having fun? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna talk about, guess what? We got some wonderful shows that's happening at the Marsh. I'm gonna go through 2 of them this time, and then some others that's happening a little bit later on. Now, there's at the Marsh at the Berkeley. We have a Berkeley Marsh. Yes, we do. Berkeley Marsh, yes, we do. And this one is Train Stories at the Berkeley Marsh. Please, if you get a chance to go there and see it, that'll be wonderful. Yeah, that'd be wonderful if you come back and see that, you know. And then what else are we having? We have the Never Too Late show that's being performed by Dawn Reed. Oh, yes, and it's performing here. You're saying, hey, Pearl, what time? Saturday and Sunday. And it's got the Never Too Late show by Dawn Reed. Yeah, the Never Too Late show over there. Just want to let you know. A great seat in everything. Okay, are you guys ready for our first performer? Okay. Here we go. Oh my God. Hold that thought, okay?
Up in Indiana where the tall corn grows, I do a little thinking about a girl named Rose. Hair blonde as hair and long as a rose. Up in Indiana where the tall corn grows.
You're gonna act like I never left. You're gonna act like we never left. We had a commercial break, you guys, this one. And everybody came out there and Zoom, it was a commercial break. Are you ready for our first performer? I'm gonna give this first performer a wonderful round of applause, but I want to talk about this person. His name is Mel Halbach, and his show description is this. Growing up in a hopping rural Wisconsin tavern in the 60s was like being raised in a fun beer commercial that included a range of weird chores. From trending the bar at 8 years old to finally being in a submarine underwater. Isn't that interesting, you guys? Yeah. Give Mel a round of applause for this story. Thank you so much.
June 1976. I'm 19 years old, in the Navy, in the Mediterranean Sea, and I'm 500 feet down in a nuclear missile submarine. The captain's carrying a loaded gun. He's carrying a loaded gun. Are you kidding me? What? Are we going to launch missiles? This drill is going on forever. And he's pointing the gun, shooting us if we're not going to follow orders. Really? How? How is this happening? How? How did I get here? How? Heard cows mooing for the first 1.5 years of my life. And my parents moved me and my 3 sisters and brother from our farm to a small tavern in Calumetville, Wisconsin. And I went to bed at night hearing music and falling asleep to the music. And around 2, I am looking for where the music is coming from. And I go downstairs and I open the living room door. It's magic. It's like Christmas morning and lit up beer signs like Christmas tree lights. And I pound on the pinball machine and I pound on the pool table and I pound on the jukebox. And at 5 years old, I learned how to play the jukebox. On weekend nights, our bar is hopping, the jukebox is hopping. Everyone from miles around comes to our tavern for mom's beer, batter, fish. Farmers come dressed up in suits. They come with their wives who are dressed in pretty dresses. And my girlfriend, Debbie Quaid, she lives next door. She comes with her mom And we go around and we get money from customers. And we go to the jukebox and we put the money in the jukebox. And at 5 years old, we can play anything we want. We put the quarters in and we don't play polka. We don't play country western. We play rock and roll and we dance around the pool table and I'm dancing and I see Debbie dance and she's dancing so cute. I like how she dances and she likes how I dance. And we go off into the tavern closet, sometimes and we hide and we play doctor and nurse. And at 8 years old, my mother taught me how to draft a beer. And Eddie DeCavis at the end of the bar go, Melvin, I'll have a Pabst. And I draft Eddie a Pabst. And I take it to Eddie. He gives me money. He gives me a sip of his beer. Take it to the cash register. And my mother lets me play every game. She lets me roam around the tavern and she takes a movie camera, films me, she films all the customers. She teaches me how to use a camera. I film everyone. I film the customers drunk on the tavern floor playing Twister. And my mom, she can belt out a tune. She sang the national anthem for the very first Super Bowl in a bar full of people. That's my mom. And my dad, he's bold. He's adventurous. He plows snow on this huge Lake Winnebago for ice fishermen. When we got the truck, he took me to buy the truck. And he said, Melvin, what color truck do you want? Yeah, I want that green one. Can you get the green one, Dad? The green one. Bought the green one. A forest green Dodge, 4-wheel drive, big ass wheels, a searchlight on top that you could see them for miles and miles on the lake. A big yellow bubble light, like it was on a cop car, and a antenna that would swing back and forth on the roof that was led into the cab of the cab, and I could call the tavern on a 2-way radio. KOJ 8959, station 1 calling station 2, over. Hey, Mom. And the plow, this plow was the size of the truck. When you lifted the plow, the whole back of the truck was squatted. And we go out in the lake. Dad would set down the plow, shift it into gear, and we would haul ass out of the lake. Snow, ice coming over the plow, hitting the windshield. I'm holding on. He's driving, having fun mouthing, I sure am, Dad. And this went on all winter long. And on my 9th birthday, I'm in my bedroom. I lay out all of my clothes for the next adventure tomorrow. I had my shoes, and I didn't wear those shoes. I had another pair of shoes. I had these shoes that were white Korean boots. These white Korean boots are what my dad got me for my birthday. And I took them to bed with me, and I hugged them all night long, just dreaming of tomorrow's adventure on the lake, going to bed with the sound of the polka on the jukebox. It's Dad, is he leaving without me? I grab my stuff, I go downstairs, kiss mom goodbye. She hands me a lunch bucket. I open up the door. In the wind, the snow. I make it down to the truck. Climb into the truck. Come on, Dad. Let's go. I'm ready to go. Let's go. See the box next to him. I know what this box is. And we drove out to the lake. My brother had this box collecting money for Dad on the lake for mice fishermen. He spent all day in the lake. And my brother came home and he said, "You're gonna hate having that job." And now I got that job. And my dad even looked different. He took each of his Copenhagen, shoved it in his cheek.
Said, Melvin the box. Want that box filled by the end of the day. You hear me, boy? Want that box filled by the end of the day, or you'll be seeing my belt. You'll be seeing my belt.
And he took off, hitched a ride back to the tavern. And I was Dad's toll booth collector. And he wouldn't pick me up until late in the afternoon. And I would see a truck coming down the road, I'd get out of the truck, hand out, it's another ice fisherman. It's Neil Jensen. Hi, Neil. Hey, thanks for the money. Are you gonna be heading later? Bye. And there's another truck coming. It's Milt Schiffman. Hey, Milt, how are you doing? Are you gonna be at the tap? Thanks for the money. Bye. I hope you're at the tavern tonight. And when there was no car coming, I'm here was looking at the ice and play on the ice and look at the ice cracks and look at the fish. And I get back into the truck, warm myself up, turn on the AM radio, look for other cars. Another car came out. Hey, Eddie, thanks for the money. Are you gonna fish with me later? Bye. And I get back to the truck, and every day I have my box full of money. And one day it was cold. It was nasty outside. I wasn't going to go out. I couldn't even see past the windshield. I looked in the glove compartments for food. I called Mom, KOJ 8959, Mom, are you there? Mom. I just had to take a nap. Dad.
Boy. This box you filled with no money. What did I tell you? You're gonna see my belt now. Bam, 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 bam. Oh. That's when I really started to hate him. Leaving me out in the lake all day, not caring for me, never doing a job good enough, getting the belt all the time. And when winter was over, that spring, my cousin Jack came back from Vietnam in an army uniform. And I looked at him in a glass-covered casket. I've seen dead people before, at funerals, cousins. Jack, I played with him. He looked different, like he was alone, like how I feel sometimes. And I heard someone crying, and I looked up and it's his dad. His dad's crying. His dad's crying for his son. My dad wouldn't do that. I never seen that from Dad. But what I did see was his anger, his hatred and anger and yelling at my mom. You're a stupid bitch. Do you hear me? You're stopping me from my dreams. I know what I'm doing. Do you hear me? You don't know anything you're doing. And I had to run. I ran to the bedroom. I ran downstairs in the basement. I went to the kitchen. I opened up the fridge. I had to eat. I had to eat and eat and eat to keep the anger away. I started hating him more. I ate bigger and bigger. I got bigger and bigger. I hated myself. I wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill myself. He said, you're joining the football team. And I went out, and I saw this guy. He was a monster. And I just kind of looked up to him. The ball was snapped. Bam! He slams me. He's running ball. Get up, you piece of shit. I got up, slam. Coach looks at me. Oh, Buck, what are you trying to prove? You're not going to be anything like your brother, the quarterback. You know, just what are you trying to do? And I looked at him. I looked at the guy that slammed me. I went home. I told Mom, I'm quitting the football team, Mom. She said, tell your dad. And I waited for him. I waited for Dad outside the garage. He got back from work. Dad, Coach said that Dad, I'm quitting. I'm quitting the football team. Why, you lazy, fat son of mine. You're not quitting. You hear me? Grabbed the belt from him. And that's the last time he ever tried to whip me. And after that, I lost weight. And I saw in the school auditorium a Navy poster. Be all you can be. Yeah. Okay. I want to be that. I went to the Navy recruiter. He said, why do you want to join the Navy? My dad, I got to get away from him. That son of a bitch. I don't know what I'm going to do. He said, yeah, my dad is a son of a bitch too. Damn right. That's why I joined the Navy. Bingo! Sign me up. I signed the papers. He swore me in, but I had to wait. Until I finished high school. But all that year, I dreamt of the high seas. I dreamt of big ships. I dreamt of a fancy Navy uniform. I dreamt of sports cars. I dreamt of girls. I dreamt, and that first night in boot camp, I'm laying in my bed. How in the fuck? I've got 4 more years. Oh. And I saw a submarine poster in the barracks. And the poster read, we run silent. I run silent. We run deep. I'm deep. I'm really deep. We are mysterious. I want to be mysterious. I want to be mysterious. And I went to the submarine psychiatrist to see if I would qualify to get in. And he sat there. Seaman Halbach. if you push the nuclear button, that would kill millions of people. Perhaps even your own father. Father, push a button for the father. I push a button for my father. I push that right now. I push it right now. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
I did spy a periscope dead of night on the eastern coast. The police made them jokes, told me I'd seen a ghost. Everyone thinks I'm a liar, no one knows the truth. If it was a bigger fire, I would be on the
Give another round of applause. That was Mel Harbach. What's the great? Yeah. Mel Harbach. You need to say it one more time because you put a lot of work in. There's a toddler in the tavern by Mel Harbach. And also a belt on the stage too. That's a wonderful story that we got to hear about. Hey, let me tell you a story about this. At Monday Night March, I know a lot of people look there and they say, hey, I can come on the stage and do this. Well, come on down here. The March wants new performers to come here and perform and do and perform for everybody on the website and also in the sold out theater that we have here. Tickets are a little tight, but we'll squeeze you in. That's all I want to say. Again, Mel Harbach, there's a toddler in a tavern. Also, I just want to let you guys know, when people come on the stage and perform, they're putting everything that they have. But also remember, it's a work in progress. They're tweaking it a little bit, they're doing a little bit of that. And when they get done, they want to put it on this stage. And then when they get home, I didn't like what I just did. And so they start over again. So just to let you know, this is a work in progress. Another thing too, after the show at the Monday Night March, you know what's wonderful? They have an after show discussion. I hope you guys can stand by and stay after the show. And you guys can ask these people anything you want to, almost anything, after the show. So please, even on the Martian Zoom, if you have any questions, we can listen to you, and the performers really like to talk about what the work that they've done. And I have a little questions myself, you know? So are you guys ready for the next performer? You know who we have? We have Kathy Bowman. Now, her show description is this: 4 legs and a funeral is about life and a scruffy mutt who wormed and squirmed his way into a family, convinced he was everyone's soulmate and nurse. If you ever had a dog that refused to fetch, I did, and ate your cheese, I did. This is the story for you. Are you guys ready for Kathy?
When our children were young, they begged for a puppy. We'd been living overseas, and coming back to California was confusing and overwhelming. A dog that would run in the hills and frolic at the beach seemed like a good idea. Finding a rescue puppy, however, was not easy. The first agency rejected us when we wanted to buy a tiny Cocker Spaniel puppy because our children, then 10 and 5, had, in their words, no previous puppy owning experience. Another agency rejected our 6-page application, well, mine in any case, because I expressed uncertainty over whether the puppy would share the couch. So one rainy Sunday, we drove 45 minutes to check out a small, nervous, scruffy little dog named Ludwig. Ludwig was barely 20 pounds wet, and he was 3 years old, hardly a puppy. And in his online photo, he was blurry and red-eyed, but we hoped he'd be small enough and cute enough to do the trick. Several families had considered adopting Ludwig, but they'd returned him each time. He was like that library book you check out, but never read. Maybe it was the hernia, the trick paw, the terrible teeth, the terrible breath. Whatever the reason, he came back. So by the time we met him, we were his 6th stop. At that point, we needed him as much as he needed us. So we took a chance. The children immediately renamed him, the older daughter taking the first name, the younger daughter the second, Charlie Watermelon. Charlie looked like a mutt assembled from spare parts. Short stubby legs, long dachshund body, a lassie tail, a terrier's face, and a gentleman's goatee. He peed like a princess and howled like a wolf. He came housebroken, thank you, universe, and he knew exactly one trick. On our first visit to the vet, the young receptionist, very perky, got a little confused, and when it was our turn, I heard her call out, "Mrs. Watermelon, Mrs. Watermelon." And it took me a minute, but then I realized it was me. And in a sense, you see, I was Mrs. Watermelon. Charlie demanded to be fed at the same time, breakfast and dinner. He demanded to be carried up the stairs and down the stairs, on the bed and off the bed. You get the idea. When he was younger, though, he was coiled like a spring. I once came home from work and he was standing on the kitchen table, staring out the window. He ate with gusto: kale, tampons, a bar of 85% chocolate, a loaf of sourdough bread, and a half of a soft, juicy onion. Frantic, expensive trips to the vet, but always just below the lethal limit. He once opened a package of Trader Joe's dates, and he hid one in my husband's shoe, one under my pillow, one in an armchair. A hunk of Jarlsberg cheese went missing. That we found weeks later fermenting in the closet. The vet said this was a sign of love. Charlie was happy as though when someone was ill. He was a cross between Florence Nightingale and the Velveteen Rabbit. And surely he believed if he snuggled closely enough and did not breathe, and his breath was terrible, you would recover. He nursed the children through fevers and colds, through breakups and makeups. And when one came home from the hospital, her head bandaged like a Civil War soldier, he tried to land the wound. He protected them against other dangers as well: vacuum cleaners, delivery trucks, baths. He was besotted with our older daughter. She was truly the love of his life. And when she went to college, he grieved in the way that only a little dog can do. And when she came home, he was waiting at the door 20 minutes before she arrived every time. Somehow he just knew. Charlie hated to be boarded, and he refused to pee in the rain. He never hiked on Mount Tam, and he would not fetch. He disliked the little toddlers who thrust their chubby hands into his fur and treated him like a toy. And he flirted shamelessly with the high schoolers who walked down our street. He convinced my elderly mother, who disdained all dogs, to keep a box of treats on hand just in case he stopped by. Same went for the neighbors. As for the bigger dogs, he was always trying to run with them, and he could never keep up. They were both bemused and bored by him. Watching Charlie try to make friends at the beach was excruciating. And then this Christmas, the arthritis caught up with him, along with the cataracts, and turned his eyes a milky blue. The naps got longer, the walks got shorter, till pretty soon there was no need for a leash. Got harder and harder for him to get up, until one day he couldn't. And that was the day the storm took out our power. We held Charlie through the cold night until it was time to go to bed. I told him what a good boy he'd been, but I don't know if he heard me. When we got there, they put us on the cat side for more privacy, which would have driven him crazy. The vet came in, he gave him one shot, and then another, and then he was gone. It is a cruel twist of fate when dogs don't outlive their human companions. My heart broke when Charlie died. It didn't matter that the vet said he was ready. I wasn't.
I hear love from
Give Kathy another round. Happy moments, 4 legs, and a funeral. What a wonderful show, right? This is great. And what a night, Mark. Thank you, Kathy. I would not see too, but it's not about me. But anyway. Wonderful show. Again, after the show, please stick around so we can ask the performers any questions that you'd like to have. Are you guys ready for the next performer? Thank you. Now, this performer's name is Sandra Fish. And her description is this. I think these phones, right? Okay. Kenneth Johnson was labeled incorrigible when imprisoned in Rikers. Through programs and study, he changed and was released. As a returned citizen, Kenny went back inside Rikers to teach as a free man. That's where I met him as a colleague. He was arguably the most excellent, beloved teacher in Rikers when he died unexpectedly at 52. The New York Times wrote an awesome obit for him. You wrote this in his honor. It's called You, Kenny. Thank you.
Penny, did you want to go? I heard tell you told Mariana you'd done it all, nothing left you wanted to do. Is that true? Kenny, your tall walking self, those long coats and calm, cool looks, those knowing looks, those zinger comments sliding out of your mouth like a casual afterthought, but spinning like a fastball to somebody's gut or heart or head. Kenny, smiling, slow smiles, half smiles, lips closed softly, thinking smiles, yeah. You were you, no doubt. That's what drew me then, draws me now, just how you were. No apologies, you, straight from the hip, you, telling it like it is, was, might be you. You asked me out, sort of, flirted for sure, made my knees weak, did you know? Oh, but hey, I was crazy, rushing around, I was moving, rushing around, leaving town. In 2 months, I said, and you asked me out then and said, this time. Not now, is there? No, there's no time now, that's for sure, huh? But you're around. Yeah, you're around. But not like that. Not in that simmering, sultry, smarter than anyone way. You're around like a spirit of care, of fire, of concern. I feel your need and cry. Too few like you. Too few. One less now, no more Kenny. I don't believe it. Don't, won't, can't. Not when I feel your spirit, your heat still around. Makes me know you didn't go, pass on, or die. You just moved your you to a better position, that's all. Your you was too big for a small place like a body, living in one house, working in one city. We feel you all over the planet now. Doing your you, giving your you, spreading your you, so we can do it too, that thing, that me, that you, that we, destiny, making it, creating it. With every breath we take, that you don't anymore. Okay, then you, saluting you, praying for you, and thanking you. Being you. Ken.
On animals farm, my animal home. While I lay my head upon my pillow, little girl can play beneath my window. Though she's far from home, she is free from harm, and she need not fear.
Wow, let's give Sandra a round of applause for her. Yeah. Kenny. Sandra Fish Buchanan. Now, you guys ready for the final performer? Yep. Thank you. All righty. Here we have Maria DePlutis. Maria DePlutis performs an autobiographical stand-up comedy set. Now, this is what they said about her set. What just happened? I'm offended, but I don't know why. 10 out of 10. 10 means bad, right? Let's give Maria DePlutis a wonderful round of applause.
Thank you. Hello, March. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for being out here. I will be performing a stand-up comedy set. And this is actually my first time performing a full stand-up comedy set. At the Marsh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mislead you. I've done this. At the Marsh, and don't let the lack of microphone fool you. This is stand-up. They asked me if I wanted a microphone, but I said no, because I want to try this without the comfort of a phallic object near my mouth. So part of why I wanted to not use a microphone also is because I'm immunocompromised. Mouths have a lot of bacteria. It goes on mics. Artists and entertainers do questionable things with their mouths. So I avoid bacteria. I'm immunocompromised. I have a rare blood condition called idiopathic neutropenia, because of course I have a condition that sounds like idiot, pathetic, neutral penis. I get sick a lot. The first time I was ever hospitalized, I had to go under anesthesia with a German doctor. And as he was putting the final shot in, that was going to knock me out, he looked me straight in the eyes and said, "This is what Michael Jackson took." And then he died. So I've been trying some alternative approaches to managing my health. I did acupuncture. In case there's anyone here who doesn't know what that is, basically you just lie down for like 20 minutes. They pick you with a bunch of tiny little needles. You don't really feel anything. I fell asleep. So it's kind of like having sex. Speaking of things that only happen once a year, I recently had a birthday. Thank you. I just turned 29 about 10 years ago. So I grew up in the Bay. I've been living in San Francisco for about 15 years, and I grew up in Vallejo. And I'm also a first-generation immigrant from Greece, a country best known for olive oil and butt sex. Coincidence? I don't know. My initials are MDD, but I like to spell my name Deplutis, MD. I find that it helps people take me more seriously in Facebook comment debates. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I do have a bachelor's degree in theater and a master's degree in social work because I hate money. My dad is gone, but I know he's looking down on me. Oh, he's not dead. He's just judgy. And I don't know where he is. I really love when I get to go back to Greece to see all my family and speak my language and just be there. But every time I go back to my village, everybody thinks I'm a lesbian. They tell me, "Maria, if you cared what men thought about you, you would not be so tall." Last year, I lost 90 pounds.
Wow.
Because I'm sick. You monsters! This guy came up to me and said, "Maria, you look good. You're almost fuckable." So I was like, first of all, Dad. I'm just kidding, guys. My dad would never say that because he doesn't speak English. What he actually said was casi que la deca que casi gomenara. But I have to translate it, otherwise it's all Greek to you. Are you guys familiar with the golden rule? Yeah, what is it?
Unto others as they would do unto you.
Right, basically treat other people the way you want to be treated. There's a couple other platitudes in that category. Just be yourself. Honesty is the best policy. It's all a bunch of bullshit. That has not been my experience. My favorite topics are gender, religion, and race. And my favorite question to be asked is, no, where do you really come from? Because I love talking about being Greek. I don't know, do those platitudes work for you guys? Well, I'm autistic, or as most people like to pronounce it, oh my God, she's so annoying. I told my mom that I have autism because I only recently found out, and I told her I have autism, and she said, "Maria, I have no idea what that is, but you definitely don't have it." When I was a kid, I had no idea I was autistic. I thought I had erectile dysfunction because those commercials would come on the TV. Do you struggle to perform under pressure? Do you live a life full of longing and regret? Are people constantly disappointed by your inability to rise to the occasion? Then you have erectile dysfunction. Contact your doctor. I did not have a doctor I could go to with this, and I couldn't go to my parents. I don't know if you know any Greek people, but we don't talk about our feelings. The Greek way to say that hurt my feelings translates roughly to I'm hungry. I don't understand why, when Americans are in a difficult situation, you say that you're in a pickle. If I was in a pickle, I would just eat my way out. I'm an animal lover. Any other animal lovers here? Yay. I find them to be a huge comfort. My favorite animals are beef and pork.
Yeah.
Sorry, vegans. I had the worst date last night, and then I realized it was a prune. In case you're wondering, my sexual orientation is avoidant. It's just that anytime I think about hooking up with someone, I ask myself, is this going to be worth having to wash my sheets? And I'm really lazy. And it's almost never worth it. So I time my quarterly attempt at human connection with when I already need to wash a sheet load. Right, is everyone here an adult? Is there like an age? Because it's about to get real gross. How old are you?
17.
17. Parental consent for NC-17 material? Yay, nay, I can skip it.
Better say yes.
Yes,
and cover your ears.
Okay, well, all right. All right. I was going down on me. But this is the it's not always worth it to have to wash my sheets part. He was going down on me and he bit my clit. Yeah, not so exciting anymore, huh? Which, good for him for finding it. Credit where credit's due. But like everyone knows we're not supposed to do that, right? This might be education for when she is listening. Let her know that's not supposed to be a thing that happens. But see, I've been living in San Francisco too long, so I'm passive aggressive. I didn't tell him he did anything wrong. I just bit his dick. I get what I get. Feminism, that's what that means. Okay, she's good now. You're good now. Sorry about that. Yeah, he'll explain it to you later. That might be helpful. Okay. You might have picked up on that I don't really like dating very much. Do you guys date in here?
No.
Married people, what's the situation? You're 17. It's not worth it. Just wait. Put it off. Put it off. Are you single? You're her father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Married. He's married.
Married, not to
Married to
you,
a performer.
hopefully.
No.
No. You're married. Anyone here dating in the dating pool?
Yeah, I'm married, but I date.
You do both. You like open relationship, or do you mean you date your spouse?
I can't tell you.
Okay, you know what? That's fine. We'll move on. I avoid dating. I especially don't like online dating. Mostly just because it's a bunch of pictures of torsos. Like, is that supposed to impress me? The torso is literally the one body part you can't not have. Think about it. Right? You need this. It's where all the good stuff is. You know, there's chickens who've had most of their head cut off and they're still running around. Most brains aren't really used that much anyway. But the torso, you need it. You want to impress me? Show me you got all your fingers and your toes. If you make it to 40 with all your real teeth, you're a hero. That's what I want to see. Okay, this is like PG-13. You'll be fine. Anyone here send dick pics? I only see 2 kind of older men. Do you know what those are?
I don't know what it is. What?
Oh, okay. Now I feel like you're gonna start doing it and it's all gonna be my fault. It's when you take a picture of that part of your body and you send it to someone. Did you learn something new today?
Did I send you one, Mel? I erased it.
You erased it right away, so it's a yes, so you didn't ask for it. You said when you're like, no. Okay. Dick pics, lots of people send them, even more people receive them because people don't admit to sending them. I've never sent one. I don't have that body part, but if I did, I would. I'm the type. I know this because anytime someone asks for tit pics, I always send them. And then they say, what the hell is this? I thought you were white. Well, you didn't say you wanted my tits. That was a non-specific request. Hers were nicer. You know? Are you? You're welcome.
I'm gonna have to give you my email address.
I mean, you could Google them too. The whole joke was that they're not mine.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I do really well with constructive feedback, like a big part of being high functioning autistic, which is a real thing. It wasn't just a joke I did, is that a lot of things aren't obvious to me, right? But those communications, that constructive feedback tends to not happen with dating. So to facilitate the process, I did a very San Francisco thing. I created a simple survey. Anytime I go on a date with someone, I just send a link out real quick. Thank you for your service. Tell me how I did on a scale of 1 to 10. Would you recommend me to a friend? What's that friend's phone number? I think the things people say to each other in romantic situations is really weird and creepy. Like, I would die for you. So you die, and then I have to pay all of rent? That's just selfish. You're my world. What are you trying to say? I'm fat? You complete me. I'm not going to give you my kidney. Don't even ask, and don't give me that it's just a figure of speech bullshit. You think I don't know what's going on here? I'm a 90s kid. My television didn't raise no fool. You're my sunshine. We live in San Francisco. What are you trying to say? I'm withholding? It's not my fault I only come twice a year. Anyway, I'm just trying to find somebody who can comfort me the way my parents did. Tell me it's all my fault and then yell at me until I cry. All right, 2 laughs, the rest of you, my parents that love you. Well, I'm happy for you. The dad laughed, the daughter did not. That means you did good. But you find it relatable. Oh, somebody called me a quack and it really hurt my feelings. It was a duck, but that's no excuse. I've been writing a book about how governments control populations by strategically manipulating constructed ignorance. It's called Manifest Density. That one always gets laughs with the theater crowd. Not so much the drunk at a bar on a Tuesday night crowd. Did you guys hear about that cop that got fired for failing an IQ test? This is 100% a true story. He got fired for scoring too high. Funny, also terrifying because it's an illegal precedent. Anyway, anyone here ever been called a Karen? A Karen, are you familiar with that?
Karen is like what you go hiking, you see these little piles of rocks that tells you where to go.
Those are called Karen? Like the name?
Oh, Karen's, C-A-I-R-N-S.
Oh, no, I never heard of that. I learned something. No, I mean Karen, like the pejorative term for women. When you ask to speak to the manager, do you guys know about that? Have I actually found a group of people that doesn't know about this? It was a big thing. Have you been called one? No, you just know what it means.
I
Okay. You know what it means?
Yes.
Have you also been called one?
do. No, I've not.
No, no one here. Does everyone know what it is? It's like someone's like, I want to talk to the manager, but you're being really like, nah about it. Well, the term Karen's been coming up a lot over the past couple of years. And I know like a lot of people seem to be confused about like, is it a pejorative term? Is it offensive? Is it sexist? Some people are even like, is it racist? Can you be racist to a white person? Is it prejudice? I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? All I know as a recovering Karen, is it's nice to finally have a name to put to it. And here this whole time I thought throwing tantrums was just a symptom of my erectile dysfunction. more we find out about ourselves. As a first generation American who speaks English as a second language, I'm deciding to distance myself from what James Baldwin referred to as the people who think they're white. Stay with me. I know it's a lot. I'm distancing myself from the concept of a white identity, especially as a descendant of Anatolian genocide refugees, and none of you know what that means. And that's exactly my point. So from now on, my preferred racial pronoun is off-white. Because I'm still white, I'm just a little off. I've been trying to get more connected with my cultural heritage of being both Greek and also from Vallejo. So I filed for bankruptcy. I make fun of my people a lot, the Greeks, but the truth is we're very loyal. It's like we always say, you shave my back, I'll shave yours. Hey, what did the Terminator chicken say before crossing the road? I'll be back. All right, guys, if you liked me, please follow me on Instagram. It's really easy. It's just my name at Maria de Madula de Pludi. Thank you so much.
Forever the meeting in the cloud.
We have a heckler in the audience, which is okay, that's what it is, you know? Marie can handle it, right, Marie?
Oh, yeah, I like that lyric.
Right? Maria de Plutus. That's what we love about the March. That's what we love about the March. And I just want to say, if you guys like to stick around after the show, the performers are going to be answering all of your questions, if you have any. So again, a wonderful round for everybody that's. Sandra, Cassie.
Yeah.
How about you there? You want to go?
Oh, no, I'm scared.
And
of heights.
Maria. Okay. Anybody like to start off with a question?
Did you get another dog?
You know, it's funny, not yet, and it's the question everyone asked right away, and I started to joke, well, if your husband were to die, no one says to you, you gonna get another husband, you go, yeah, I'm thinking about it. No, I mean, it doesn't feel right yet, so, not yet.
Is this the first time for all of you at the Marsh, or?
Yes,
Is it your first time performing anywhere?
no.
Okay.
It is Mel's.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Yay.
So why did you become a comedian?
I always liked it, like as a kid, I wanted to try it, and I always made people laugh like accidentally. So I figured I'd hone on that. And then at one point as an adult, I was like, I just need to do it. And then I did, and then I keep trying to get better at it.
And one of the things I liked about you was that you always connected with the audience. You always, every moment you connected with them. I mean, you looked us all in the eye, you know, I mean, cute that you thought about this age thing here, but it actually made your comedy even funnier.
Oh, thank you.
That part did.
Yeah,
Just
thank you.
How long did you say have you been doing comedy?
I started, well, I've always written it, and since I was a kid, I'd write it, but I started actually like trying to do it about 14 years ago.
Yeah.
But I took a lot of gaps. I stopped for a bit and became a child protective services social worker, and then I stopped doing that, and then I came back to this. They don't go together, the two. But I would say, because it's been on and off 14 years, but probably a solid, if you add it together, like 8 years. Yeah.
How many times a night did you say that you're going up on stage? Or sorry, a week, not on.
Oh, yeah, the night, I'm like, oh, wait.
You do that, you kind of jump around, but
Yeah.
on average, about how many times a week do you think you're now going up on stage?
At this point, because the stuff about my health issues is real, so there's like stuff to navigate, but at this point, I try to do it at least once a week. But the ideal is at least once a night. And sometimes I do shows where it is like 2 or 3 in a row, but it is an exercise. And the longer you put it off, like then you come back and you're just kind of rusty. It's like
Right.
you have to keep trying to do it.
And do you create all your own stuff, or do you have somebody that gives you some jokes?
It's all mine, but every so often someone will give me a really good suggestion.
Mhm.
Like for my blood condition, I used to say I have a disease. And that hits different. And then a friend of mine who's like an established comic, he was like, say condition. Because disease, people are gonna start thinking like, is she contagious? What's wrong with her? Like it sounds, there's just like a more negative
It's
connotation.
funny how little things can make a
One
big
word,
difference.
huge
Yeah.
difference. Yeah, but the jokes, like they're my own, other than little tweaks that come from suggestions.
And what comics are you inspired?
Well, my first inspiration, and I wouldn't really call him a comic because he wouldn't call himself that, was Andy Kaufman. I love the weird stuff. Like I have some bits that are like weird and experimental like that too. I didn't do them tonight. I wanted to stick with like just the stand-up-y stuff. But of like contemporary comics, I really love Eddie Izzard. He's more of like a monologue comic, I would say. Michelle Wolf. And I love Dave Chappelle. I know he's controversial. I don't agree with all his thoughts, but in terms of the art of comedy, he is really amazing at that. I used to love Louis CK when everybody else did, but now I'll go back and watch his stuff and I'm like, huh, what was going on with all of us then? Because he used to be so popular, but it has not aged well. Whereas you go back and watch Dave Chappelle from
Right.
20 years ago, and it's like he's very, very good at the art.
We're gonna have to talk after this, but I think it actually changes in a really good way for Louis C.K. in my book. I'm
Okay,
gonna definitely debate this.
okay, maybe I have, because this was like 5 years ago or something, when I went back and watched the old stuff,
Right.
not his new stuff.
Right.
I actually, no, I did watch one of his new stuff, and he had a long joke about Good Will Hunting, which
Oh, yeah.
I thought was hilarious, but 20 years too late.
Right.
Like, Good Will Hunting is an old movie, but we can talk about it, but I stand by what I say, we can talk about it.
Well, I think that was one of the way better stand-up comedies I've seen in a while. And
Really?
I think the entire thing was actually great from beginning to end.
I only like the Good Will Hunting joke.
No, I'm talking about your.
Thank you so much.
Really, really good.
And
Thank
it's not just the jokes, it's your personality as you say them.
Oh, thank
You know, I
you.
mean, that was my feeling.
Thank you.
A lot of it has to do with your personality as you said them.
Thank you.
I have a collection box, you can use it. You know, you get
Thanks, guys.
I'm curious what drove like each of you to wanna get on stage, and like for you, to me, it sounds like you're an amazing writer, poet perhaps, and then what
Well,
made you
the
wanna?
truth is, I've been an actor for about 40 years. And we did a lot of theater and, you know, little bits and movies and Netflix and blah, blah, blah. But my writing, I haven't done a lot of presenting my writing. So this particular piece just sort of came out of me. And I haven't been doing a stage in a long time, and so I don't know what possessed me. I went, oh, March, and and I have another piece, a long piece that I want to give somewhere, and so I threw it in there. I was shocked when they said, yeah, July 17th and 31st. I was like, oh my God. So and it's very satisfying because it's, you know, it's a heartfelt piece. So.
I'm back on the 31st too.
Yay.
Oh, you are. Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I think for me, I have a long background as a writer, but there was something about this dog that deserved to be performed. And it, even though it's written out, because I had to memorize it, it was a story that needs to be told. And I don't know how long that will be, but I felt like to do him justice, I wanted to do it a few times. So I performed it a couple of times. This is the first time in a face and size.
Okay, the question I have then is,
Yes,
it's a real story, right?
yes, they're all. from
Okay,
start to
okay, I
finish.
really like the story. You know what I like the most is
What?
when you choked up that time.
Oh, interesting.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you know, because I could tell that you really felt it. You know, I mean, you guys have all been on stage, you know, you're actors and stuff. You ever have to cry on stage? Almost impossible. But you did. You just, you were choked up really well.
I really appreciate you saying that because that was not planned. And as the moment was happening, I was like, a friend of my mom's once said, read it until you read it enough and you won't choke up. And so I was trying to get through it without choking up the whole way through. And so I appreciate you thought I planned it.
Because that's real. That makes it more real.
Yes.
On the other hand, you should.
Yeah, that was fake. Yeah.
It's a joke.
But I did do that. I thought that was like, I did it too, but it's no actual tears, because that is very hard to fake actual
Yeah.
tears coming out cry. Yeah, I could be a con artist or something more lucrative. I could do that.
Kathy, I thought when you did that, I thought that was planned, but you were saving that for the performance. So you know, as
Yeah.
performers, they're here before the doors open and they get a chance to kind of
Mhm.
do some of the performance so they can kind of get a feel for the space and everything. You didn't do that when you were rehearsing it. That caught me off guard.
No, and
I
actually.
thought everything that was gonna be just like that.
Well, thank you. Actually, the first part of my challenge in wanting to do this was, and the family knows they've heard it like a million times, is I, at the beginning, could not get through with that sobbing entirely through. And so honestly, I feel like Charlie deserved the story, but it's also really helped me process my grief because I don't sob every time I say his name. And to have actually gotten as far as I did without crying was a victory for me because I wasn't sure I could tell the story and I felt like I didn't want that to be, the story to be lost in the tears, I guess.
Right.
The thing is, it was so real. I mean, now that you make me think about this, the minute you started doing it, I thought you caught my attention because I was thinking, oh, is this person gonna do a good fake of being upset? It wasn't a fake of being upset. It was, I mean, that's why I like it so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And how long ago was it that he died?
Early January. So, yeah, that's why your question, we're just not ready for another one. I mean, think about it, but it's, for me, it's really, I think of course, it's a question we all ask, but it's always like, only with a dog would we assume, all of us, that you could get another, and yet anyone's had an animal knows you could never replace it. You can get an exterior of a dog tomorrow, but you could never, you know, and it was true, I think for us in our family, and my family will laugh at this, my mother wasn't a dog person, didn't really grow up with animals, but adored Charlie and treated him like royalty every time he came to visit. We always laugh like he was the only dog she loved, but it was because it was Charlie, not because he was a dog. You know, and I think because he was a rescue dog, I'm very big on rescues, and I think because he'd had such for him, a hard life. Right. You know, he was always grateful.
We have a question from Zoom. Well, it's kind of a comment. Oh,
Val hasn't had a chance to answer the question.
my apologies.
Well, fine, I went to pick my water.
What did it make you want to do this in first?
My apologies.
Oh, no problem.
Also, you covered a lot of ground. How did you narrow it down to a succinct?
Yeah, I just kept throwing shit out. But like kill your darlings kind of stuff. But I'd see posters on the wall of the marsh, and I have no illusion that I'm gonna love doing this. And it's more of a push just to experiment with something different in my life. And I think a big turning point was quitting drinking a year and a half ago. And moving from not knowing, or just kind of like feeling like I was dying. And turning that around and to act out and I read some quote tonight, you're a child playing with your crayons. And if I can play, I don't know how it's going to land, but for me, it's just landing out like I'm playing like a child. And that's what it just, however it lands, and it's just more like it's got to land on me and playing with it.
Now, I just, what I wanted to say was that your physicality was unbelievable. I mean, I don't mean it that way. I mean, it was great. I really, really liked your physicality throughout the show. But I want to give you one little bit of criticism. You got to remember, I'm just an actor. I'm not a director or anything like that. But I have to tell you this, I would have liked to see you a couple of times connect with the audience more. Okay, I mean, you connected with them, you know, with all the stuff that you showed us.
Right.
But if you just did, and then said something to us,
Yeah.
you know, in a heartful way, like the thing with your father, I know it's like, oh yeah, I'll kill my father, no big deal.
Right.
But maybe you kill your father, no big deal, but before, maybe you realized that he loved you and that's why he was kind of an asshole to you, because we have fathers that are assholes to us, right?
I also appreciated that you were telling this very difficult story at all. I mean, it takes, you know, so much to even tell a story for myself, to even tell a story to myself, much less to tell it to other people, much less to tell it on a stage to other people. So I really appreciated that, and I really appreciated what you said about crayons and playing. Like, I'm not sure exactly what you meant, but I wonder if you mean it helps create a little bit of safety. Like, I'm playing this, but I'm playing, I mean, I just, maybe this is why the word play. Creates a little bit of ability to be there. I just really appreciate it.
Well, part of it too is I miss dancing, and the older I get, I'm not dancing as much, and I'm dancing now in act. And I am looking, I do want to connect more with the audience. In fact, I think I connect with the first time being with lights on, that was distracting for me. I had a hard time connecting. I just couldn't, I mean, I could connect with a chair, but everyone else, it was just a big blur. So, but now I know a little better.
And did you, I think what I read, that it's going to be a 60-minute performance.
Yeah, well, whoever wrote that shit, I don't know.
Did you shorten the whole thing, or did you just only do part of it?
I just did a chunk. The whole idea the whole thing started with me thinking I was going to do a film. And then when I was talking to my wife, I started writing my story, and then I felt, I think I want to act it out first, because I have control over that. Where if I were to do a large film that included my ex-wife, that would take years. And I can do this, and it's encapsulated. I can do it now. I can feel, and it's such great therapy. I feel awesome for 2 or 3 days after I do a write, as opposed to doing a film. And once it's done, you can't change it. And here you can always change it, move things around, and that's fun. Okay.
Sandra, if I can ask you.
Yes.
What time in regards with that you felt you wanted to write this poem for Kenny?
You know, it was right after I got the news. I had moved away from New York, and I was checking in with Mariana, and she said, Kenny died. I was shocked because it was very unexpected. And I wrote it, you know, that was one of those, you just write it. I wrote it out the next day.
Because I see the passion even to today. I don't know if it's been years or so.
It has been years and years. It's been, well, it's been 21 years.
So you have some experience in the penal system in regards to prison and can you share a little bit about?
I'd love to. It was from a play I did 30 years ago, or a little over 30 years. It was called Getting Out. And I played a character who was getting out of prison. And we did so much research and we went into women's prisons and my eyes opened up and never shut. And so over the decades, it was very, very organic. And I was drawn in and I was in Sing Sing and Rikers and it just really fell in my lap. And then I did some end of life work, held a friend's hand when she took her last breath and then years passed and I moved back to the Bay Area and met an attorney and more long stories, but what I asked him once in his office was, how are they dying in prison? How are they dying in prison? He said, badly. And I have been obsessed with that since 2007. And we started an organization called Humane Prison Hospice Project. And we train the incarcerated people to take care of each other at the end of life. It's quite valuable. So, yeah, so I really can't shake it. It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. It bothers me. I'm bothered and I'm doing some work with Death Row now too, but yeah, it really, really bothers me. And I'm really not a social worker. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I've done some hospice training, I've been trained and all that, but so I've connected with people who are professionals and who are nurses, and we've got a wonderful executive director now. And so I was going into San Quentin. Now we have grown-ups and they go in, but I'm still connected and go in. But yeah, very, 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 very happy. It's like my whole body is relieved that the prison, San Quentin's, the California prison system is collaborating with us for the training. So very happy about that. It's a mess.
San Quentin is the only one for death row, right?
Yes. There's the women's prison has a women's death row. Yeah. So they're separated, but yeah, that's right.
So do you deal with people that's on death row or do?
Well, mostly our organization does general population. Yeah. I have been drawn into death row, and I was with a man, connected with the same lawyer, became next of kin because he had a terminal disease. He didn't want to die alone. We didn't have the program for death row yet. Still don't yet. And so I got to go in and see him. The prison was quite good. So it was death row, and he was in for 40 years and read his 110-page psych report. Every generation more abusive than the one before, culminating in his childhood. And so he died, and I was next of kin, and I got his ashes, and he wanted them scattered in the Sierras, and I took a train ride up to the Sierras. A friend picked me up, and we got to scatter his. It was very freeing. It's very important that making people their crime is, I mean, can you imagine? The worst thing any of us have ever done, and that's all people see. When we get this privacy of, so yeah, it draws me.
It's funny that you say that, because there are countries in the world where they've abolished the death penalty altogether.
Oh, yes.
Even if you've done the worst thing imaginable, they still think you can be rehabilitated.
Of course you can. This man who I saw at the end of his life, everyone loved him. He was a sweetheart. He was crocheting like mad. He was crocheting. I have hats, I've got scarves, baby blankets. He was giving them to everyone. He was a lovely, lovely, lovely human being. And it's just so important to understand that we're, that one of the most wonderful things about being a human being is the ability to change and to be able to forgive. Those are like magical things that we have, and we need to walk that. Otherwise, we're all doomed. Oh, well, you know.
There's sometimes when you get so wrapped up in the convict that you forget about the victims.
Never. That's very important, very, very important, nor do the people I work with forget about them. It's excruciating. The crime is usually a pretty bad crime, and it's painful and all of that, of course, but it just, and you know, the restorative justice where the victim's family or the victim, depending on the crime, comes and talks to the perpetrator. It is very, very healing to see a human being and not a monster, and to understand that. And in fact, I just spoke at a parole hearing for someone who had a horrible crime, and I saw him in our class was inside. He'd been in for 20-some years, domestic violence, killed a woman, his lover. They weren't married, but it was he was one of the most exemplary human beings, and the governor wouldn't let him out. It was a horrible crime. They wouldn't let him out. The family wouldn't let him out. So finally he had this, because he's such a great human being, and he was so educated through some programs, and we need those people out so they can, I mean, he did get released. He's down in Mexico where his family is, and he will teach these young guys that this macho attitude is, you know, he's a beautiful speaker and a beautiful teacher. So that's the only way we heal. It heals that cycle of pain that he had, and now he can carry that on. It's really, so it's for the victims. I mean, I volunteered in a battered women's shelter for a year, and they'd always say, why don't the women leave? Why don't the women leave? And I'd say, why isn't anyone asking, why doesn't he stop? Why doesn't he change? So when I saw this man change, I said they can change, and he's going to show that. And women can't leave; they usually get more endangered if they leave. So yeah, it's a human thing that we can do, and I just can't bear all the barbaric thing.
All right, so I have a question.
Yes.
And I don't know if I need to correct you, but if the perpetrator can change,
Yes.
and you know how the victims feel when, you know, they let the person out, should we help the victims
Of
too,
course. Oh,
psychologically?
absolutely. I think so, yes.
Okay.
And there are victims groups and things, and I agree. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because that's why it's good that if they can go through the process, it's like a year-long process for them to meet and talk, and it's a lot of preparation, and yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, of course not.
No, of course not. So.
If we may interrupt a little
Yes,
bit, we have
please.
someone from Zoom that has a question, right?
Nish, hopefully you're still on there. You did ask a question a little while ago, but it was a really quick one. Starting with a comment saying, I just loved all of your performances, especially Kathy. And I can't wait to live stream again. The question is, when are any of you going to Australia?
No time soon.
Well, that's an easy one. Give us a paid gig and. We can do it.
Nish, you're all for your court now. This is a question for all of you. I thought all of you did a really great job tapping into your emotions. I mean, there was a lot of heartache and tragedy in your pieces. So from the outside looking in, is that easy for you to tap into? Does the story carry the emotion, or do you also have to carry the emotion for the sake of the performance?
Well, for me, because it's like my comedy is autobiographical. It's about the health issues. It's about autism. It's about trauma. It's about like all these dark stuff. But my whole point is like, my whole goal is to try to make it funny. So that is always very challenging when you're dealing with like these really dark things, is to find a way to make it funny. So the hardest part isn't like here on this stage performing it, because like I've done it many times. It's like when I'm starting out and I'm like, okay, I know that I want my comedy to be about all this stuff that no one ever talks about. So the first attempts at jokes, and it just bums people out. And like, you know, I did a set once and no one was laughing. And I was like, oh, you guys don't think it's funny? And a woman in the front row did this. What I'm going for. So it's like, you know, but I'm not going to stop trying to talk about the things I want to talk about, but you have to rewrite constantly. A little word, intonation, all of it, the order you say things makes a huge difference. So I'm so like super mindful of everything, and also of how I'm feeling when I'm performing it. Otherwise, like if I'm just saying words at you, that's not what the art is, and that's not what I'm trying to do. So it is, I forgot the specific part of the question about like, does the work carry the weight of the emotion, or do I? It's like all of it. It's the writing, it's me, it's how the audience is responding to me. Yeah, I guess that's how I feel about it.
You know, I have to say, I thought your sexual jokes were funny and not overboard. They
Thanks.
weren't, I mean, a couple of things you talked about, I'm not gonna mention them, but a couple of things you talked about is something that we've almost never ever heard before, but you made them funny and not nasty sexual.
Thank you.
I mean, for me, I have to say that, maybe not for everybody, but I was very happy with it.
Thank you. That's what I'm going for. I did an open mic. I was in Cincinnati this weekend for like a retreat for people with my blood condition. And I did like a 5-minute version of my set, like including like some of the sex jokes. They were horrified. They were so grossed out. Like, what am I looking at right now? So it's like, because I've mostly developed my comedy in San Francisco. Like it works here, works in New York. It did well in Portland. I did it in Athens, Greece. It did well, but Cincinnati, like I'm gonna have to like, I go back and writing all new stuff.
That kind of makes a point, different places, different people.
Yeah.
Maybe a bar versus, a woman's group. You have to be careful what jokes you tell and what you leave out.
Oh, yeah. Or like out, I like to perform out near Sac or past Sacramento. And that's sort of like Trump country. So I interact with the audience in a different way, but I still make it work. Like my comedy is a lot of things. It's actually not that political. But it does involve having to be able to think. So I do.
That was something I really liked in yours. It wasn't political at all.
Yeah.
I'll get to the other performers.
Yeah, sorry.
Mel, same question for you.
Yeah, what's the question again? I'm in Trump country right now.
This form, because your pieces are so personal, is it, does like reading out loud or thinking about it bring out the emotion to be able to, perform it for people? Or do you also now still have to like put the emotion first to help drive the story? Because I mean, it's very obvious that all of you are fantastic performers, but these are very personal stories.
Yeah, part of it is I've done some documentaries on the stories I've done, personal documentaries, and it's and then you have the ability for a sound effect or just the edit to create that emotional part. And now I can't depend specifically on how you write. I can't depend on a word for me for what I'm doing for my performance. I find it's I have to drop in and drop in. I can't think of the emotion first. I have to drop into it. And by dropping in as deep as I can create, then that emotion comes up. And if I think and try to rely on a word or a passage, that loses me, and I find that I can't connect with it. That makes sense.
Thank you, Ken.
So for me, the story and the emotions intertwined, and it's funny because anyone who loves me knows that I'm a big crier. So it's not a leap to cry, and it's almost with this piece, I'd say the challenges for me was, could I present a piece that was very funny in parts, but also very sad? And because it's easy to be all funny or all sad, but could I write a piece that kind of hit the right places and the right points? And to your question earlier, for me, it was actually, could I hold back enough emotion that I could get through the story? Because it's not that I minded showing emotion, but I really wanted to hit the lines I worked so hard to write. So I did, and I'm really happy about that, because in rehearsal, I was like forgetting little paragraphs. I'm like, yeah, I'm practicing enough, but so it's more like hitting the right note at the right time, but it's all part of the story. And you hope when you share something that, you're allowed. I mean, I told the story at a winery, and so many people came up to me and said, I lost my dog. I think it's a story that allows people to touch that own touchstone of grief in themselves that we don't always give space for if it's an animal. And I think it always makes me sad when people don't value, and I mean, I understand, but animals play such a special role, and they just deserve that place as well, sometimes, to be recognized for their space in life. So I just wanted to do right by Charlie.
Also been a really special dog.
That's great.
For me, it's all about being really, really focused, and it's very real for me. So if the more present and focused with Kenny, with the word, it's just being in it, and then that's how it works for me. And I've done it in a small, well, actually, I did do it once at the New Eurekan, but and to explore it. That's why I'm enjoying this. It's like, okay, let's see let's just do it, be present, and see what happens, and it hopefully will be different every time.
You've done a great job honoring that. Any final questions from anyone in the audience? One more question for all of you. You all obviously did a wonderful job. How can these people keep following you if they want to come see you perform, or if you have anything online? How can they follow your lives? Through emails, through Instagram, through Facebook, through YouTube? We'll start at the end of everything.
Yeah, well, so I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm like the only one in the world with my name. So the first one's easy, Maria, Maria. My last name is DePlutis, and I could spell it for you, but if any of you really want to follow me, I can write it down for you, and then you'll remember it. But I post upcoming shows on both Instagram and Facebook, and I have my private Facebook page, but I'll friend anybody. You can send me a friend request. And then I also have my comedy Facebook page if you have healthier boundaries than I do. And if you're not on either of those two, Instagram or Facebook, I can, if you are interested, I don't have a mailing list or anything, but I am more than happy to send you dates of shows if you prefer email.
And I'm terrible with social media. I'm on Facebook, I have an Instagram, but I need to get back on Instagram. But right now you can contact me through my email, melhalbach@gmail.com, and I'll put that out there for my next show, that I'll have an active publicist. You.
So I'm related to half the audience, so I'll see you when I get home. Everyone else, my Instagram is Kathy Bowman Art 2, and it's private, but send a request and I'll friend you. And then my website is kathybowman.com, and
just, I had a friend when I sent out the announcement, because, you know, to the marsh, this is happening. One friend came back and said, hey, I think there's been a scam, you know, I got this announcement about it. You performing?" I was like, no, that would be me. And someone else said, did you do this? And I was like, I guess so. So now that you're asking if I do this again, it will be on my website, and you can connect with me through there or through Instagram. So.
Beautiful. Sandra?
I really don't do, enough. I've got something, I was in Sense8 on Netflix, if anyone watched that. But I really don't, perform enough to have I write and yes, maybe some more performing I'm looking at. I have a Facebook page, Sandy Fish. My Instagram account is private, but I'm gonna do a professional one, but yeah, forget it. You could definitely look at the Facebook thing. I do post things on there. The prison work is humaneprisonhospiceproject.org, and you can reach me through that. That would be the way to reach me. And that,
We can donate there as well, right?
yes, you really could donate there. We've got some wonderful people. They're doing amazing work, and I'm shifting just in the last few months to focus more on my writing and performing. And they're gonna put me on the advisory board then, but I'll still have the email that you can reach me through that. That would be probably the best thing.
Beautiful. Monday Night Marsh is one of my favorite nights of the week as a technician.
Oh,
because,
good.
some nights are a little tough to get through, but I still love the rawness. All of these pieces, even your comedy, is ready for the big stage. I think all of you are wonderful performers. I'm so glad. This is gonna be one of the great nights for me for Monday Night Marsh.
Thank you. Can I just say thank you for giving us this opportunity?
Yeah,
Because,
so awesome.
honest, it's pretty great to be able to just send in your little bit.
Yeah.
Get a place on stage with these fabulous people. So,
Yeah.
you know, thank
Yeah,
you.
we like to keep it super raw here.
Yeah.
I met these people an hour before we opened.
Oh, yeah.
So most of the time some of you send the script ahead of time, but a lot of times I'm just reading it and kind of discovering it along with the performance, and that's exciting to me. Please, everyone, give them one more.
Good job, you guys. Good job.
Donate if you can, family.
Thank you.
Hi, my friend.
I think